What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So Michigan State basketball finishes their two-game early season conference play 2-0 with a big-time 89-52 win over Nebraska in the Breslin Center on Saturday, a game in which Michigan State controlled the whole way through. Nebraska never had the lead, and Michigan State's lead got up to a smooth 42 points at one point. So we're going to talk about the game here, what we saw from it, what we liked from it. There was a lot to like, only one really stat that we can kind of nitpick, say that we didn't like from this. Then what's ahead as Michigan State kind of moves into kind of a lull, 3 weeks here till the end of the calendar year, only 3 games till the end of the calendar year before we jump back into Big Ten play. So we're going to talk about it here, but first, before we dive into that, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. More Michigan State basketball content on the channel as we move towards the season. As I said, next couple weeks, only 3 games, basically 1 a week the next 3 weeks towards the end of the calendar year. So going to kind of be scarce Michigan State basketball here, but we'll have a full recap, season recap for Michigan State football here on the channel coming up soon. Probably, I know last week I said later this week, but things got kind of busy. So for sure you'll see that at some point this week. And then obviously transfer portal opening up on Monday this week. So, you know, as more visits come about, already got a couple visits on the schedule for Michigan State football. We'll be here to talk about it as well. So again, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. So let's just jump in. I mean, starting with Nebraska, they really only had, they only had 2 guys in double digits. Andrew Morgan off the bench provided 14 and 7. And then Bryce Williams, their highest point scorer of the season, he only had 11 points. But besides that, they really could not buy a bucket. As a team shooting about 33%, 18% from 3, and only 67% from the line as well. And then turnovers for them, 11. And they weren't even turning it over that much. They literally just could not buy a shot at all. Jumping over to Michigan State, have to start with Jaden Akins. 18 points, finally getting the 3-point ball going more. 4 for 8 from him from 3, 5 for 10 overall from the field, 4 for 4 from 3. And then off the bench, Jace Richardson getting back into a groove, 16 points in 15 minutes as well. Very efficient there, 5 for 7 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 4 for 4 again from the free throw line. So nice to see him get his feet back under him after missing a couple days of practice in the North Carolina game. And then Xavier Booker as well off the bench in 15 minutes, had 11 points, 6 rebounds as well. Love to see that, and love to see him, I know it was the end of the game and the game was way out of hand by that point, but him being aggressive too, that last play from him when he got the swing pass and kind of didn't even really pump fake. He just, power dribbled to the lane, got up and dunked it. That was pretty impressive. Need to see more of that. Would love to see more of that, should I say, from Xavier Booker. From the starting lineup, Jackson Kohler, he was absolutely incredible. Almost another double-double, 8 points, 12 rebounds, 4 turnovers. It's okay. They were doing a lot of doubling down to the post. We can't have that every game, but, that's bound to happen with the team that they were doubling to the post as much as Nebraska was on Saturday. Jeremy Fears as well, 6 points, 8 assists. Had the incredible assist from his butt to Cohen Carr. Cohen Carr missed a couple dunks in this one, but overall had 8 points and, 2 rebounds, 2 blocks, and again, 4 for 4 from the free throw line as well. And, making the off-ball plays really is what we've seen Cohen Carr become this season, making all those little plays across the court, not just being a dunker and an incredible athlete, doing all those basketball plays. He's really evolved a lot throughout this season, especially from last year, but even throughout the duration of this season so far. Trey Holloman, the only one who didn't really shoot it that well, was 3 for 10 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, but he still provided 8 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. He still did his job, even though the shooting numbers weren't there like everyone else, because Michigan State was shooting it hot from every facet of the floor. 52% from the field, 39% from 3, 96%, only 1 missed free throw. Simone Zapala, you're doing suicides all the way up until the Oakland game. No, only 1 missed free throw in the game. Simone Zapala missed a free throw there. But yeah, 96% from the free throw line. Across the board, everyone had an incredible game for Michigan State. And the only real negative that we kind of talked about at the top that we can point to is those turnovers, 17 turnovers. But the fact that you're able to turn it over 17 times and still win by 37 points is pretty impressive. And the main reason why you were able to do that. Like, yes, the 3-point ball was falling like it hadn't been this year. It seemed like for a while. I mean, 9 3-pointers. I think they have 11 the last game out against Minnesota. I can't remember. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, like, it seemed like the 3-point shot was going in at a higher clip. I know the Minnesota was 50% that they hit, but overall, I mean, they were doing that. But another reason was, and I think the biggest reason, rebounding margin. Michigan State 48, Nebraska 19. We talked about rebounding margin coming into this game, and they were absolutely incredible on the boards. Another thing that isn't going to show up on the stat sheet, reason why Michigan State won this game, it seemed like every possession, someone from Michigan State was diving on the floor after a loose ball, getting a loose ball, tipping something, diving on the ball, tipping, creating an extra possession for Michigan State. Passing the ball around, 20 assists, 4 steals for Michigan State, 5 blocks. I mean, fast break points as well. Michigan State 18, Nebraska only 7, 32 points in the paint compared to 24 for Nebraska. And that's what it's about. I mean, that was vintage Michigan State basketball. Again, we've now said it for multiple weeks now, but diving on the floor, and you could tell, Tom Izzo talked about it earlier in the week before the Minnesota game, that they were putting a lot of importance on this 2-game stretch. After starting 0-2 last year in Big Ten Conference play, putting a lot of emphasis on starting 2-0 this year and getting yourself at the top of those standings. It's only 2 games. You still got 18 more conference games to go, but not starting 0-2, and now you got to fight up that ladder. And especially, like, yes, it's only 2 games, but not having to fight up that ladder. And 2, the fact that the Big Ten Conference, like, around the conference, I think we came into the year thinking, like, all right, like Purdue, Illinois, Indiana's roster specifically, don't trust Mike Whitson as a coach, but their roster, like, those are probably the top 3 teams or so. But after the first, month or so of the season, first couple conference games for most of these teams, it's like, I think this thing is wide open. There's honestly probably, I don't know, just spitballing a number, there's probably 8 to 12 teams that realistically have a shot at a top 4 seed and a double bye in the Big Ten tournament. And I think that speaks to, like, the parity across college basketball this year. I mean, the top 25, I think there's maybe 10 to 12 teams, if that'll be consistently in the top 25 all year. But I think that thing will keep going back and forth. So for Michigan State to jump out to an early 2-0 conference head start in this thing heading into January, where, like, January, don't get me wrong, there's no easy games in the Big Ten, but you want to get out to as good a start as you can, because February, as it usually seems to do for Michigan State, February is definitely a gauntlet again for Michigan State. You got the West Coast trip in there. You got Indiana. You got Purdue at home as well. You got Illinois in January too, but that if I'm remembering the schedule right off the top of my head, you got Indiana and Purdue, like, back-to-back weeks at home, and that's after the West Coast trip. So things definitely ramp up. So getting this 2-0 start going in, hopefully you can continue this. Obviously, take care of these next 3 games that you'll be, highly favored in coming up the rest of this calendar year. But then starting at Ohio State. So Ohio State's a good team as well. Got Penn State, who looked good early on as well. So Washington coming up within those first 2 weeks of January as well. So there's going to be opportunities there for Michigan State, but if they can continue this 2-0 start and get out to a solid lead in the Big Ten, I think they'll be sitting in a pretty good spot in the conference overall, looking at the big picture. But overall, it was a fun one in the Breslin Center on Saturday. The crowd was incredible the whole game, and absolutely love to see it. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. 8-2, 2-0 in the conference on the season for Michigan State. Recording this super late, do apologize about that, but AP poll just came out. Michigan State basketball back in the AP poll, top 25 at number 21 as well. So back in the top 25 for Michigan State basketball. Michigan State women's basketball as well was in the top 25 last week as well. Moving up again, undefeated, 9-0 start for them, up to number 17 in the country. So incredible across the board for Michigan State. Got to shout out Michigan State hockey as well. Was the number 1 team for a couple weeks here. Went to Wisconsin on the weekend, lost on Friday, bounced back with an overtime win on Saturday. Rankings came out on Monday here and only dropped 1 spot. Number 2 team in the country. Still facing Minnesota this weekend, who just moved up to the #1 seed. So incredibly big matchup this weekend for Michigan State hockey. Can't wait to tune in and watch. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.